So I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about the story of how this book came to be.
About fish egg babysitting secrets.
Right.
Well, yeah, you've covered it. I first came out here to Mormon country 40 years ago. I was a high school student in Wisconsin, not highly motivated. I forgot to apply for college. But when I was 12, my parents took the whole family out on a trip to the Tetons, and I saw those mountains and thought, wow, the West is cool. And my girlfriend was highly motivated, and she researched all sorts of stuff, and she went to Utah State.
Oh, great.
So I thought, well, Utah, Montana, they're probably pretty close. And I sent out one application to Montana, got accepted, and a month later landed in Missoula. I'd never been in Montana,
Wow.
didn't know a soul, panicked, and I went to the swim pool because I swam in high school, and I knew how to do that. And the way athletics were in Montana, I was given a scholarship right away. And so I for 2 years, all I did was swim. I walked to the pool in the dark in the morning, swam for 2 hours, staggered through classes, swam for 3 hours in the afternoon, went back to my dorm in the dark, and for all I learned about Montana, I could have stayed home.
Right.
And my second year of school, I had a roommate who read Mountain Man books and started sharing them with me, and pretty soon we were whining about being born too late, and no grizzly's ever going to eat us. The
Right.
Blackfeet aren't going to strip us naked and chase us down. And so we kind of complained until someone heard about it and said, oh, well, I think I might have a job for you. And it was to go into the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness and take care of 2 million salmon eggs. The catch was I had to stay there from October to June alone in a tent. And I had no idea I'd ever write anything. But 12 years later, I did write a book about that winter. And it got very successful. It sold for the last 25 years steadily. And I got my reputation as a fish egg sitter. And 25 years after that winter, I was walking my boys home from school in Great Falls, Montana. A 6-year-old and 9-year-old in a fish and game truck pulled up to me and said, hey, do you want a job? We might have one. And he just said, we got some grayling eggs we want to put to the Bob Marshall, and your name came up, and it would take a month in the wilderness, and we have a cabin for you.
A cabin.
Yeah, Forest Service cabin. It's like deluxe.
Yeah.
But my boys were right there, and that was kind of fatal because they were, a month, Dad? We can camp out for a month? And I said, well, yeah, probably. Why not? And I didn't really know much of what the details were, which is a bad habit of mine.
Yes.
But I told my wife about it when we got home, and she said, well, where are you going? I don't know. I'll find. So, but for my son, my older son in particular, he was set. He's like, oh, this will be so great. We can kill a bird for feathers for our arrows, and we can make the points out of flint, and we can kill deer with the arrows, and we can make all our clothes out of the deer hides, and we'll eat the deer meat, and we can catch fish in case we get sick of deer. He had the whole thing planned in a second.
All in a month.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We'll do all this in a month.
Right.
And then we found out where it was going to be, and at first they said the hike to the eggs would be within a mile of the cabin, and it turned out they were 5 miles away. So it was a 10-mile hike, and it's the highest density of grizzlies in the lower 48. And my wife said, they are not going with you. You can go. She didn't have a problem with that. She said, this is who you are. You have to do this. You can't not do stuff just because the boys can't go with you.
Right.
And so I went, and since Indian Creek has been successful, publishers have wanted me to write another one. And I always said, well, I only spent one winter in a tent. So this time I thought, well, I'll be able to write this book. And I came out. I didn't get eaten by a grizzly, though I saw too many of them.
Wow.
I came out to write this simple Indian Creek 2 and promptly wrote the worst draft of a book I think that's ever been written. Pete gets up, Pete eats his oatmeal, Pete takes a hike, Pete goes to bed. Pete gets up, takes a hike, goes to bed. every once in a while, a grizzly bear scares Pete senseless. And so I put it away, worked on something else, brought it out, put it away. It just wasn't working. And 5 or 6 years of doing this, I started to think, well, maybe it's, it's not just about that month. There's more to it than that. It's why did I leave my family? Why do I do these kind of things? How did this get started? And, my French publisher in particular was very crazy about getting a book, and the writing became kind of this. Really, what led me to do this? And the knee-jerk answer was Indian Creek. And, well, something made me go to Indian Creek, and so as I wrote, I kept trying to unravel that and found that it's very difficult to pull one thread out of a life to say, oh, this is the way you went.
Right.
And so I could read something.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
This is from a portion of the book where I think I thought at the time I was writing it, I thought, oh, this is it. This is what really got me going to where I wanted to do stupid stuff or stuff in the wilds anyway. In the book, this is the first day that I've been left in the wilderness. They packed me in 25 miles on horseback to this cabin, and then they left. I followed them to the eggs, and then I had to turn around and walk into the wilderness now alone. Wow. And it's pouring rain. The clouds are like, I'm in the clouds pretty much. I can only see about 100 feet. And it's cold, it's nasty. And in the lull between gusts, I glance around, though I can't see much beyond 100 yards. The blur of rain, the closed world inside the clouds. For all I can tell, I might as well never have left Wisconsin. Might still be 12 years old, trudging across Wisconsin prairie. And then, suddenly, I am. There's an air base there, or half of one, an abandoned, half-constructed fighter base, a vast expanse of open federal ground, a couple of rusty fuel tanks, some half-dozed gravelly airstrips, lots of ponds. Taken over by a few lonely model rocket enthusiasts, radio-controlled airplane flyers, is a place we could chase our rockets without fear of crossing roads or fences in the miles it took to drift back to Earth. Some of the rocket details escaped over the years, but what never left was what followed that swooshing rush of a successful ignition, the paper tubes zooming off, my father and brothers and I, necks cricked back, staring into empty sky, waiting for the engine to burn out, for the red and white parachute to pop open, something big enough for us to see. And then the best part, spying the chute, waiting to judge the direction of wind drift, my father pointing, showing which way to head, cutting us loose like hounds. We tore headlong through the scrub and weeds, running, falling, scrambling back up, our faces turned to the sky, not to our footing or path. A lone barbed wire fence would have beheaded the three of us. My father followed more slowly, trying to keep us in sight, the rocket too. Our dog bounded along beside us, unable to believe that we'd been allowed, however briefly, to join her species. We splashed through the soggy low spots with glee, but the first time we reached a real body of water, reedy edges, open blue in the middle, we paused, judging the necessary detour, looking back at our dad, wondering. I could still feel the drop of my jaw when he shrugged and, after the briefest hesitation, waved us forward, right through the center of the pond. Already gasping from the run, we splashed into ankle-deep water, knee-deep, howling with laughter, then thigh-deep, and biting our lips, straining on tiptoe, crotch-deep, waist, belly, our dash slowed to a slog. Swamp crawling, we dubbed this new, undreamed-of sport, and for me at least, the firing of the rocket became only an excuse for that heedless charge, the rescinding of all rules of normal comportment, of all rules of any kind. The pond? Run through it. Jeans, sweatshirts, boots, no matter. Swim if you have to. You know how. Climb dripping out the other side, stagger on, water draining down your pants legs, squelching out of your ruined boots. Who cares? Try not to howl, not to let loose the wildness you feel building inside you, a rush unknown, unsuspected, something you've yet to understand at 12 years old that you will crave for the rest of your days. Then realize you have no reason to hold it in. There are no rules here, no compunctions. So you howl, scream like a madman, glance over at your brothers and realize that they're staring at you, laughing like demons, that they can't believe you're screaming, and then they are too. You can hardly run, hardly stand for sheer exhilaration. You look back to your father, the enforcer of Saturday morning jobs, a man who could stand in front of a cartoon-filled TV screen holding up a popsicle stick, informing you that he'd found it next to the wastebasket, on the floor, make you get up and put it in correctly. And he is at least as delighted, seeing you, his son, gone feral before his very eyes. You cannot believe your luck, your amazing fortune. You grin back, the briefest flash of teeth, of open mouth, then charge forward again. There's a rocket out there somewhere, or if not really a rocket, something you would be chasing for the rest of your life. 33 years later, I trudge alone through the rain, squelching water inside my worthless boots, pushing elk out ahead of me, the new snow on the mountains deepening but hidden, as are any grizzlies, by the fog and the clouds. The last time we ever saw my brother's rocket was high above the airfields, our wild charge slowed by the fact that we reached a point directly beneath the rocket. It was no longer drifting in any direction. Our dad caught up with us, the four of us straining to see the parachute. It was my father who first noticed that instead of enlarging, the chute was actually shrinking. It's going up, he said. Still tantalizing straight above us, it grew tinier and tinier as our father, the engineer, talked about thermals, rising masses of hot air, the give and take of heat exchange. Then it was gone. We scanned the empty blue, our eyes making dots where none existed, but the parachute, my brother's rocket, never reappeared. I should have known then. But as quick on the uptake as ever, it's only half a life later, a mile from Biggs Creek in the Bob Marshall Wilderness, that I pinpoint that vanishing rocket as the start of that life, the moment that led to Montana, to Indian Creek, to here. Slipping and stumbling in the mud and grass, I wonder what my dad would have to say to that shrug of his, that nod into a pond, leading me so far off the beaten paths. If, given a glimpse into the future, he'd do it again. The glimpse is impossible, of course. Who could tell, looking at a breathless, tousled-haired kid staring up into the sky, that a whole world had just opened to him, when the kid himself would take some 30 years to realize it. But it's still what I want to do for my boys at every sliver of opportunity. Let them take the oars, then jump overboard. Here's the knife. Try not to cut yourself. Toss them the ball and tell them, throw me some smoke. Make my hand burn. Don't you ever worry about me. I slog on without them. Not 12, not in Wisconsin, just 45 and wet and tired and alone in the wilderness. This is who you are, she said. But without them, is it who I want to be? But having worked on this, it took 12 years finally to finish it to where I thought I did what I wanted to do with it. And Indian Creek also came out 12 years after. So my wife says it's probably how long it takes me to have an idea.
Right.
She may be right. But that's why to get this award is so cool, because you spend 12 years working by yourself, and pretty much more than half that time thinking this isn't going to work. This is just one of those books to add to the stack of ones that didn't work out.
Right.
And then even when it does come out, there's a little splash. You get something from Kirkus, but to all of a sudden, just out of the blue, get a message from somebody in Utah saying there's this incredible family, these strangers to me, the Evans, who have endowed this award, and they read the book and loved it, and it's like, oh, well, I wasn't wasting my time.
Right.
This did strike home somewhere.
Right.
And that's really about the best thing you can get as a writer, is to see that did work out for you.
That's
and
right.
for somebody else.